Hey everybody, Professor Stines. And this video is going to be kind of about PHP includes and template chopping. It's kind of almost like a part two to a previous video I did. Essentially in the first video what we did is we just kind of split up a header file and a footer file and kind of used a PHP require statement to kind of pull those guys in. We also kind of used a couple variables to kind of pass into those include files, and that was pretty kind of helpful in throwing out the title and the description of the page, and really we could pass some other stuff too. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of add the problem. Okay, hold on. The problem that we have is that when our page moves around, our links no longer work. We kind of hard coded our links here /KMP to kind of be relative to where we're developing at. And that's kind of a problem, is that we can go to different servers, and as people that are kind of following the first video found out, if you're using your faculty web address or student web address, it's going to be something like that. And so you might need to kind of name your folder in an XAMPP a certain way. Well, you could do that, and that would work. But I'm going to show you maybe a better way, maybe a different way to do a little bit better. So to start off with, as we're looking at the index page, what I'd really like to do to start is just kind of copy all the files inside and go back to htdocs, and let's just go down a couple folders to see where we go. So going down, rabbit hole. Kind of paste my files in. I'm going to go back up to htdocs though and kind of rename this folder. Just kind of the way XAMPP works. It's kind of treats them as one site, but so we're going down the rabbit hole. That's going to be our new URL. Had to refresh to drop the CSS sheet off. So if we kind of take a look at it, really kind of bare bonesy. There's not a whole lot going on here. We do kind of have an include statement that is kind of working, and just killed off my page there. But let's use the new little fancy workspace tool in Notepad and kind of jump down into that folder. I'll be working on this stuff a little bit easier. Going down the rabbit hole. That really, that include statement shouldn't really be working, should it? Not anything on htdocs, is there? Nope, don't think so. Interesting. Alright, anyway. Let's start by going into the source folder where we have our header and footer file, and we're just going to kind of create a new thing in here. And it's going to be basically just a PHP file. And it needs to go there. PHP. And you could call it config or something like that. I'm just going to call it func.php. So let's start by kind of defining some variables, and that would be kind of, let's start with my root. It's going to be the server document root, which is kind of this guy. All caps. Not that I think it matters. We could also say my path, and that would be equal to kind of a string. And that would be going down a rabbit hole. And let's, not really going to do a whole lot for us yet. This is kind of the discussion that I sent to the student, kind of saying this is kind of how I would probably do it, would be kind of returning in an array like this. That's kind of what these functions are for. So it'd be kind of a return array, kind of an ending array. And then lookup values. So we could kind of call the first thing anything that we want to, but the second thing is going to be equal to the variable we set up on top. Not the, these are commas, an array. Arrays are kind of separated by commas in PHP. So let's just kind of throw these two out there first and see how they look. No comma on the last one. Again, comma separated values. So up here in the top, let's say we don't really want this header statement. Instead, let's pull in that config file, but let's save it. So we'll call it configs include, and that would be underscore source func.php. I think that's right. It needs to be in quotation. Not sure it matters, to be honest. Configs, and let's try to echo that out. So that's echo out something in the configs array. We kind of with brackets, call it my root. Line 6. $sign. Man, I kind of can't get confused which languages I'm trying to type in. Configs my root. Shell word. Configs include. Still kind of throwing it on line 6. Yeah. Checking func to see if it's something wrong. Actually, it is in func line 6. Oh, not quite the assignment operators I'm looking for. Alright, kind of got my root folder there. That's kind of good. What's also kind of neat about arrays is you can kind of include some other stuff too. So let's say that I did want to include maybe my head for my header. We can call that a function and execute it. And that might be to include header.php. Could also kind of include one for my foot, and that would be kind of an anonymous function here. Include the footer. Alright, so let's take a look at that. Back on the index page, we took the header off. We're starting at call Keith McDonald. The reason is instead of doing it this way, let's call my head instead, and use the parentheses to say that it kind of needs to execute the function inside of it. And we get our header back, which is pretty neat. The benefit being is I've kind of eliminated I've kind of changed one call into two calls into one call. Is that I kind of have a kind of an object here that's going to make this call for me, and I can come down to the bottom too. And so I don't have to kind of fix the footer here for this guy either. I can just kind of change it to that. Configs my footer, parentheses, kind of execute that function. So if all went well, it should work. That's cool. Sometimes I get scared. I just need to test it and see. Alright, no footer, which is kind of good. Neat. Let's see. One of the drawbacks, though, is to kind of see that the title tag, we kind of added it as a variable here, but we kind of need to pass it through so that they make sense. So kind of passing the title, passing the description to that kind of anonymous function in my func. You could call that here. Just kind of keep passing it through, title, description. And this way, when I kind of go into the header page, where we already kind of been using title and description, it should kind of make sense. Oops. So if I refresh, title tag comes back, and probably can look underneath and see meta description tag having its information. So that's kind of cool. Let's see, we kind of need to fix up the header tag, at least kind of get the first part of it here going. And this is really where the benefit comes in, is now that we don't really have to worry about this, instead we'll just kind of echo out this config guy. So, I don't think we can do it I think we have to also include it here. Configs, brackets, PHP block, my path, kind of pull this part automatically, hopefully. And that did not work. Undefined variable configs. Usually you'll be able to see your error messages down in the page. We just kind of happen to be working in the head section, so head section's not quite visible. It's not finding configs. So what I need to do, I do need to kind of include it up at the top. So that would be kind of a PHP include func.php. I think it matters. And configs is equal to that. So let's refresh it. You kind of see that it automatically got generated kind of at runtime here for that path. So I kind of need to still do it for the style sheet page. So now that I kind of got that echo statement figured out, I got it kind of all wired together, it's kind of easy to just kind of go in and paste it in, kind of copy over probably all these guys. The benefit being is that you're only going to kind of change one file, hopefully, and kind of set, for the most part, down in pages, you can kind of set things all a little relative to each other. So let's see, let me just change site index and footer. Yeah, I kind of noticed that I'm still kind of declaring the HTML part relative, that my path does not really have a closing slash on the end of it. It's kind of on purpose. So let's see, let's refresh. And it looks like we got one image back maybe. And the deep nested links are all kind of auto-magically fixated, which is pretty neat. I kind of could add, and it's kind of easy to expand it too. So if you kind of wanted to add, maybe use my URL instead. So that would be HTTP localhost slash, could be that with my path on the end. Yeah, I'm not sure I want to do that way though. Let's see, let's turn header. Let's copy this guy again. Did it for one or few image tags. Let's see, let's change this guy to my URL. You can kind of see that instead of being declared relative, now it's kind of declared absolute. Kind of built it up on the fly. It does kind of make dealing with links a little bit better. It's a little bit more to kind of type out your link structure, make your stuff work, but it'll definitely kind of save you some time in the long run. As soon as when you get ready, this is kind of your development environment settings, and so what you could end up doing is just kind of commenting out this region. Maybe making a second copy of it. Call this one like production, which would be your web dev address, and this one could be development. And so when you're kind of ready to drop it off to the server, or you're kind of working through maybe the plugin here for Notepad++ as a kind of a plugin to WebDAV. When you kind of get ready and you're editing stuff out there, maybe you only really have to change kind of this one file. Maybe change the path here to be your name, and the benefit being is I can kind of move it around, change folders and stuff. Anyway, hope it's kind of helpful. Hope it gives you a good idea of what to do, and kind of makes making your site on a large scale a little bit easier to do. So if you have any questions, feel free to post in discussions. Have a good one. Bye.